Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Meteorologist Joe Hansel here. Take necessary precautions for a prolonged heat wave that'll affect the state. We have some heat advisories and extreme heat warnings now filling in for areas of West Virginia as well above average. Heat and humidity will be out there for a long duration. We're up to a major heat risk today, so that goes beyond, folks. If you're sensitive to the heat, that's for generally everyone should start thinking about taking necessary precautions. In terms of temps, a number of us could approach some daily warm record lows multiple days this week, and locally some record highs, but with the extreme heat warning, heat index values, that feel-like temp is listed to approach at 108 degrees for that feel-like temp. Strong ridge of high pressure above our heads, heat dome. Underneath that, there is a trough, a general slight 20% chance of a pop-up shower and storm for the state today. Most of us dry. Maybe some fog out there again this morning. 89 yesterday in Charleston, a little bit above average there. Mix of sun and clouds, very hot and humid. Start thinking about taking necessary precautions for an extended stretch of well above average heat and humidity. Fly Saver forecast, it starts at home, and over these cities have heat concerns too this week and continuing into the 4th of July holiday weekend. From Panhandle to Panhandle, upper 80s to mid 90s locally. To the east, have some low 90s. Up in the high elevations, highs in the ranks of the warm 80s up there too. To the west, spots like Parkersburg already near 94 for your high temp today. And down to the south, up to extreme heat warnings. Include Charleston, high of 95, but with that higher heat index value too. So the extreme heat warning lasts until 10 p.m. Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4th of July, still hot and humid, 95, and I'll watch for some chances of showers and thunderstorms. Friday, the 4th, Sunday, and also Monday into the long term next week, high near 87 there on Monday.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
Breaking news from the U.S. Supreme Court this morning regarding transgender athletes. We'll get to that as Metro News Talkline gets underway.
Do not attempt to change the station. You are surrounded. We interrupt this program to bring you an emergency news bulletin. Repeat, this is an emergency bulletin. Keep your radio turned on.
From the studios of WVRC Media and the Metro News Radio and Television Network, the voice of West Virginia, comes the most powerful show in West Virginia. This is Metro News Talkline with Dave Wilson and TJ Meadows.
Check set line up link. Activated telephone. Switch network control from Charleston to Morgantown.
Stand by. Cue Dave and TJ. You're on. Metro News Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Good morning. Welcome into the program. Metro News Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios. Dave Wilson in Morgantown. TJ is enjoying a week of rest and relaxation from an undisclosed golf course near you. Jake Link is our video producer today. Ethan Collins is on the video stream. Say good morning to all of you on our great radio affiliates across the state of West Virginia. Also, if you're watching in on the Metro News TV app, Facebook Live, YouTube, we appreciate that as well. 304-TALK-304 is the text line. You can call us at 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. That is the phone number. We've been waiting for the U.S. Supreme Court to issue its opinion on transgender athletes playing sports and whether or not boys who identify as girls can participate in girls' sports. Of course, West Virginia and several other states have laws that prohibit boys who identify as girls from participating in girls' athletics teams. And the first opinion released by the U.S. Supreme Court this morning upholds states' bans on biological boys in girls' sports. That includes, obviously, the West Virginia case. Scrolling through here, this all just dropped about 4 minutes ago. The court says that West Virginia and Idaho, that was the other case, the Heckox case, did not violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause by maintaining female sports teams for biological females. The Chief Justice and Thomas, Alito, Gorsuch, and Barrett were in the majority. Justice Sotomayor had an opinion concurring in the judgment in part and dissenting in part. Justices Kagan and Brown were the dissenting opinions in that. This is all happening as we speak, coming out of Washington this morning. So that's the first of 4 cases to drop today. Actually, it's going to be 3. The West Virginia and the Idaho cases were combined into that one opinion from the court. That just dropping this morning. We'll get more. Jeff Jenkins is quickly sorting through that as we speak. He's going to join us from the Metro News newsroom coming up in just a bit. Remember, this all started back in 2021 here in West Virginia when the state legislature overwhelmingly passed the Save Women's Sports Act. That required public school and college athletic teams from being designated, sorry, I got a lot going on here. That prohibited boys who identify as girls from playing on high school, public school, and college athletic teams. The law was challenged by transgender student Becky Pepper Jackson because it kept Jackson off the girls' cross-country and track teams. West Virginia passed that law again in 2021. The district court first upheld the law at summary judgment. Then the U.S. Fourth Circuit reversed it in part, saying the law violated Title IX as it applied to Becky Pepper Jackson, and that there were unresolved factual issues on the equal protection claim. So the U.S. Supreme Court granted review and heard oral arguments in January 2026. Now, the Jackson side, lawyers argued that because Jackson identifies as a girl and it excluded Jackson from girls' sports, even though Jackson identified and lived as a girl, they said the statute violated Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause by treating Jackson differently. West Virginia argued the statute is about biological sex, not hostility toward transgender students, and that it justified, as in the state's interest in fair competition and preserving opportunities for female athletes. The state also argued that Title IX did not require schools to include transgender girls on girls' teams and that the law survives constitutional review because of athletic differences tied to sex. During oral arguments, those were some of the main issues. The court pressed on the meaning of the Save Women's Sports Act, whether West Virginia can define girls' teams strictly by biological sex. Justices also examined the practical effect of the law. West Virginia's side emphasized competitive fairness, safety, and preserving athletic opportunities. The lawyers representing BPJ argued the law singled out transgender girls and denied them equal access to school sports. The justices focused on whether that exclusion is discrimination under Title IX and whether the Constitution permitted the state to treat her differently from others. That's kind of the Cliff Notes version of how we arrived at this point in the conversation. And this has been going on again since 2021. 5 years? Going on 5 years, or more than 5 years at this point, since this conversation started when West Virginia passed the law in 2021, worked its way through state circuit court, U.S. circuit court, and now the U.S. Supreme Court upholds that ban for West Virginia and a handful of other states. I think are close to 24 states that have similar bans across the country. We'll get into some of the reactions and reasons for that. Jeff Jenkins has quickly read through the opinions that have been issued by the U.S. Supreme Court. We'll check in with Jeff a little bit later. I know State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey will stop by, and we'll talk to a former college athlete who has been advocating for these types of bans and had to compete against a male in women's athletics as well, coming up in the second hour. We hope to hear from Governor Morrisey at some point this morning as the show unfolds. So breaking from the U.S. Supreme Court this morning, U.S. Supreme Court upholding West Virginia's ban on biological boys in girls' sports. We'll check in with Jeff Jenkins, start to break this decision down. When we return, we're off and running with breaking news this morning. This is Talkline from the Encova Insurance Studios.
Life is busy. Your health care shouldn't slow you down. With WVU Medicine's My WVU Chart app, you can schedule your appointments anytime, anywhere, right from your phone or computer. Whether it's a virtual visit or an in-person checkup, booking is quick and easy. Don't have an account? Sign up today at mywvuchart.com or download the app. Take control of your health with WVU Medicine and My WVU Chart.
Are you ready to reach the finish line of retirement? At the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group, we provide comprehensive guidance for retirement planning in West Virginia. With years of experience, we'll draft a plan tailored for your unique goals. Whether you're just starting or nearing retirement, we make the process as simple as possible, easy, and stress-free. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike to set up a complimentary consultation and get started on your plan today. Let's work toward your dream retirement together.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at wvhtf.org.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world!
Looking for a show that talks about everything? You found it.
By the way, I'm really happy to talk about this as opposed to Ryan's opinion that being a sports fan is a bad thing.
He said that it kept him from being stressed about it, not that it was a bad thing, that they didn't have the stress. And, I mean, I've seen you pace.
Yeah, you're only 30 and you look like that.
So true. So
Join Dave Weekly and Coop weekdays for Hotline on Metro News Television.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Breaking news this morning out of Washington, D.C., where the U.S. Supreme Court upholds West Virginia's ban on boys identifying as girls playing in girls' sports on public school teams, college athletic teams. We are breaking this down this morning. More reactions coming up. Attorney General J.B. McCuskey will stop by. We might hear from Governor Morrisey as the morning unfolds as well. Let's bring Jeff Jenkins in from the Metro News newsroom. He's had a chance to briefly look over the opinion. Good morning, Jeff.
Hey, good morning, Dave. Yeah, our Brad McElhaney, of course, has been working on this, and he's got a story posted, an initial story which he'll be adding to, but initial story at WVMetroNews.com. Let me just read just a little bit from Brad's story. The court's majority today held that schools can determine eligibility for women's and girls' sports teams based on biological sex. The majority concluded that West Virginia did not violate Title IX, which bars educational programs that receive federal funding from discriminating based on sex. Now, also, so this opinion was authored by Justice Kavanaugh. And let me take a quote from that. Consistent with Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause, we hold that the states may maintain women's and girls' sports for biological females. They may determine eligibility for women's and girls' sports based on biological sex. Continuing with what Kavanaugh said, the Constitution and Title IX do not require an overhaul of women and girls' sports throughout America. Now, there are similar laws to this in like 27 states. Of course, we concentrate on West Virginia, but 27 states. You'll have J.B. McCuskey, the state attorney general, and he's out with a statement. We'll hear from him later. Also, the governor is out with a statement, both of them applauding the ruling today by the U.S. Supreme Court. And again, I think you mentioned this, Dave, this was a 6-3 opinion that was authored by Brett Kavanaugh. Joining him on the 6-3, Chief Justice John Roberts, Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. Justice Sonia Sotomayor concurred in part, dissented in part, and joined by Justices Elena Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. So it was a 6-3 decision from the U.S. Supreme Court on this major decision that, they waited to the last day to make the decision. Yeah. You hear a lot of commentators, people that really keep a close eye on the court, and they were saying that, on some of these major opinions that come down, if it's the last day, that means there's still maybe some argument all the way up to the last possible moment when they can release this. So I think you can, at least think that, there was debate on this. Again, it was 6-3, but there was debate on this particular issue.
And Jeff, what's really interesting, well, there's a lot of aspects to this that is interesting. That 6-3 is yes, but then Sotomayor concurred with one of the questions. I believe it was with Title IX, but she dissented with the Equal Protection Clause. So it wasn't clear cut. There were a couple of questions, it looks like, there, and we're going to get into this. Robert Bolton's going to join us to kind of break down the legal nuts and bolts in the second hour, but it wasn't that clear-cut ideological lines here. There seemed to be some more questions that the justices were trying to consider.
Yes, absolutely. And there were a number of questions that were part of those arguments months ago, and I would refer folks back to Brad's story. You can link to that previous story from the story he's posted now at wvmetronews.com on some of those questions. Again, this is the case of Becky Pepper Jackson, and she just won a state championship recently in the shot put when had the best throw, 38 feet 11 3/4 inches, and her final throw was the championship throw. And I even heard some comments with her, Becky Pepper Jackson, earlier today on national news. And because you knew if this was coming down, obviously today's the last day, or the court could extend for another day. But the national media was all over this story this morning, right? I mean, they were previewing it. This was going to come. This was going to come. And also heard a soundbite from Pepper Jackson just about, she said, been a girl for a long time, and being, made to compete with boys would be a step backward. And that's what Pepper Jackson was quoted. Heard a soundbite from Pepper Jackson this morning. So again, Brad's got the story, wvmetronews.com. And this is in all this debate, this is a huge case. This is obviously a U.S. Supreme Court case, a precedent-setting case. And there'll be a lot of people that kind of, look at line by line on this, Dave, to see what the court says. Again, we're just trying to digest it a little bit, but there'll be some line by line analysis of this as we move forward here.
State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey is going to join us later this hour. By the way, he's on CNN right at the moment. We're getting big time, Jeff. Just throwing it out there. But this would open the door, and I presume this now, West Virginia's law can go into effect. The SSAC can now promulgate its rules to adhere to the state law. And the situation that we were talking about with Becky Pepper Jackson competing for state championships in girls sports, that doesn't happen again in West Virginia, assuming, and this is what we'll be asking JB coming up here a little bit later, that this clears the way for the law to go into effect, for those rules to be implemented at the SSAC level, and this affects college athletics as well, for whatever that's worth in West Virginia.
You remember one of the arguments, Dave, from those with Becky Pepper Jackson was that this only impacts a few people. In fact, Becky Pepper Jackson, the only transgender athlete in the state, identified in the state, and so they they focused on that was just it was unfairly targeting just a very few people, their client specifically. So that was one of their arguments there. And I'm reading from a national report here too. Additionally, because of puberty delaying medical treatment, Pepper Jackson and other transgender girls like her do not have any biological athletic advantage over competitors designated female at birth, her lawyer said. So that was, one of their arguments that they made. But now, as you mentioned, the SSAC, some people were critical of the SSAC on this, but they were really they had to allow her to compete.
Because the Fourth Circuit had enjoined that decision.
Right.
So the SSAC can't supersede the Fourth Circuit of Court of Appeals when that's going to the state Supreme Court. And that was, what I ranted about a couple of months ago, I guess a couple of weeks ago, when that happened. So the U.S. Supreme Court upholding that law and other laws across the country. What is it, 20? It was 24, right? 20-some, almost 30 states now have something.
27.
27 is the exact number?
Yeah.
So, all of that happening quickly. That was the first of, it'll be 3 because there were 4. The Idaho case got worked into the West Virginia case.
And then the big one, has it come down yet, the citizenship?
No, Birthright. I think campaign finance is probably next, and they'll drop Birthright citizenship, and they'll head off to vacation, which is a good plan if you're the justices, Jeff.
You know what I learned about some of this, too, is you're researching some of this, and I didn't know this, and I don't know if it's taking place in this case, but actually the justices, like Kavanaugh, like if you authored the opinion, they don't do this for every case, but they will actually come out and read part of their opinion themselves in the open court when some of these things come down. Now, I have no idea if they did it in this case or not, but, they do that, and then some on the other side will kind of read their dissent or why they did not agree. So they still do it, in that particular case. I don't know if they did it with this today, but they got it out. We are seeing some video here of some protests that are taking place in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, and I think with this ruling that came out for West Virginia today.
Well, like it or not, at least we have now, Jeff, a resolution, because this case has been lingering for 5 years. 2021 is when the legislature passed the law. It's been working its way through the courts ever since then. At least now there's a resolution. Whether you like it or not, there's a resolution to the case. Laws can be implemented, rules can be implemented, and if you don't like the law, well, that's what you have elections for. If you want to change the law, change the lawmakers to change the law. So at least there's a resolution to this case that's been kind of hanging out there for the last 5 years.
Yeah, it has been. And, I think it's a really good picture, too, of the court system, right? It gets, you had a lot of things in this. This thing didn't, get to the U.S. Supreme Court really quickly. You had the U.S. District Court that was in on it. You had a couple of rulings there. Then it went up to the Fourth Circuit, and then it got bumped to the U.S. Supreme Court, where it was argued in January and decided today, again, on a 6-3 decision upholding the West Virginia law. Again, the highest court in the land, says that West Virginia and other states can say, yes, you can only, participate in sports according to your biological sex. States can say that. And more than 24 states have.
And that's part of, and again, I'm reading this live on the air, Jeff. That's the key. It says states may. States aren't required to under Title IX, but under Title IX, they may. So individual states can make those individual calls for themselves, which is what they've been doing for the last, 5-6 years at this point. So we will continue to follow this. I just got word. I think J.B. McCuskey going to be calling in. We're going to get him in right after the news here at the bottom of the hour. We'll also take a break. We'll change some things up. We'll talk to the Wheeling Mayor, Denny Magruder, this morning as well. We'll break down this with Robert Bolton coming up at 11:06 this morning. The nuts and bolts from the legal aspect. And let me see. Just got another ruling, Jeff, by the way. Supreme Court siding with the GOP challenge to federal law restricting campaign spending. That was a 6-3 decision, by the way. So one more to go, and that is the birthright citizenship question from the Trump administration, which, by the way, I read a lot about that over the weekend. You want to talk about some riveting Sunday afternoon reading, Jeff? Just quick preview from this very unqualified, not attorney. Justices did not seem swayed during the arguments by the Trump administration lawyers on birthright citizenship. But that is from a highly unqualified, not attorney, Jeff. So
You've made that clear. Yeah. You made that clear.
I make that clear every day, Jeff. We crack open the microphone.
Yeah. So Brad, again, go to our story. Brad lays it out. He's adding to it. He's looked over the opinion. And he's posted it's the lead story right now at wvmetronews.com.
We'll talk to State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey on the other side of the break. Hey, Jeff, thanks. I appreciate it, buddy.
See ya.
We are digesting the breaking news from the U.S. Supreme Court this morning that upholds West Virginia's ban on boys identifying as girls from participating in girls' sports. We will break that down further. J.B. McCuskey, State Attorney General, will join us a little bit later on. Robert Bolton, friend of the show, and a professor at Fairmont State University, will help walk us through the legal reasons the justices made their decisions. We'll get through that coming up in the second hour. Could also hear from Governor Morrisey at some point this morning as well. So breaking news out of D.C., Supreme Court upholding West Virginia's ban on boys in girls sports. We'll talk more about it with J.B. McCuskey. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. It is 10:30. Let's get a news update from the Metro News Radio Network all across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Meteorologist Joe Hansel here. Take necessary precautions for a prolonged heat wave that'll affect the state. We have some heat advisories and extreme heat warnings now filling in for areas of West Virginia as well above average. Heat and humidity will be out there for a long duration. We're up to a major heat risk today, so that goes beyond, folks. If you're sensitive to the heat, that's for generally everyone should start thinking about taking necessary precautions. In terms of temps, a number of us could approach some daily warm record lows multiple days this week, and locally some record highs, but with the extreme heat warning, heat index values, that feel-like temp is listed to approach at 108 degrees for that feel-like temp. Strong ridge of high pressure above our heads, heat dome. Underneath that, there is a trough, a general slight 20% chance of a pop-up shower and storm for the state today. Most of us dry. Maybe some fog out there again this morning. 89 yesterday in Charleston, a little bit above average there. Mix of sun and clouds. Very hot and humid. Start thinking about taking necessary precautions for an extended stretch of well above average heat and humidity. Fly-saver forecast, it starts at home, and other these cities have heat concerns too this week and continuing into the 4th of July holiday weekend. From Panhandle to Panhandle, upper 80s to mid 90s locally. To the east, have some low 90s. Up in the high elevations, highs in the ranks of the warm 80s up there too. To the west, spots like Parkersburg already near 94 for your high temp today. And down to the south, up to extreme heat warnings, include Charleston, high of 95, but with that higher heat index value too. So the extreme heat warning lasts until 10 p.m. Friday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4th of July, still hot and humid, 95, and I'll watch for some chances of showers and thunderstorms. Friday, the 4th, Sunday, and also Monday into the long term next week, high near 87 there on Monday.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
On the next State of Minds.
We cook West Virginian food is how we like to phrase it.
I knew that every time I would hear a story, and I would hear the same story, but it never got old, about what this meant to the family and how it was served and how special it was to be put on the table.
Talkline continues from the Encova Insurance Studios this morning. 800-765-TALK is the phone number, 800-765-8255. That is the phone number. We'll talk to Wheeling Mayor Denny Magruder. We'll do that tomorrow. We've got a lot happening here this morning. The U.S. Supreme Court upholding West Virginia's ban on boys in girls sports. Going to hear from State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey in just a moment. Trying to quickly read through that decision. The court looked at a couple of questions. One was the Equal Protection Clause. One was Title IX. And the short of it, from a quick reading of the decision from Justice Kavanaugh, was that states may ban transgender girls, boys who identify as girls, from girls' sports. Not shall, not required to, but may. And I think that is a key in this. Also, Justice Sotomayor had a consenting opinion and a concurring opinion and a dissenting opinion to go along with that this morning. Robert Bolton is going to join us, friend of the show and Fairmont State University professor, to help break down the nuts and bolts of that ruling coming up in just a bit. And look, this is common sense and an 80-20 issue across the country. And where folks can just apply logic and common sense that boys should not be competing in girls' sports at any level, for that matter. There is a difference. There is a biological advantage. There is a difference. And the court came down. Again, I have not had an opportunity to take a deep dive into this, but came down on the side of common sense. And we're going to talk to an athlete coming up in the second hour who has had to compete against a male who identified as a female. We're going to talk to her coming up in the second hour of the program, but this was a common sense decision here that allows states to make the decision and schools to make the decision on whether or not this is the best course of action. West Virginia, they made the decision, made it in 2021. And we will move forward now. The state can implement the law. The SSAC can implement rules to adhere to the law, and we can move forward. For all of you who are clamoring for the SSAC to do something about the situation with Becky Pepper Jackson, a boy who identifies as a girl, winning the state championship this year, well, now something can be done because the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld West Virginia's ban. 304-TALK, 304, a couple of texts here. I 100% agree with the court's decision. Don't forget that there is a girl at the center of this that is not a villain. She's just someone trying to live her life. However, transgender folks can't put biological females at a disadvantage in sports because of psychological differences between biological males and females. Great job, Attorney General J.B. McCuskey. Joining us on MetroNews Talkline this morning is the Attorney General for the state of West Virginia, J.B. McCuskey. J.B., good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Busy morning this morning, but your reaction to the court's opinion upholding West Virginia's ban on boys and girls sports.
Yeah, let me first start by thanking the team of people that made this possible. Michael Williams, our solicitor, and Holly Wilson, who is our deputy solicitor, did astronomical work here. And we had partners at ADF, and we had partners throughout the Republican Attorney General's Association. And I think what you're seeing here is when a great team comes together with a great strategy, this wasn't a small victory. We won 9-0 on Title IX, 9-0. It was a unanimous decision. And even on equal protection, the three liberal justices were enormously measured in their response. And their response was really more about the factual underpinnings that happened at the district court. They didn't actually say that this violates equal protection. What they said was, we don't know yet. And so this is really a total victory. And what's really interesting is I was telling people that this was going to be a 9-0 case, even on this very radio show, and people sort of chuckled and they thought I was just being a little obtuse. But I knew the strength of our argument. I knew the strength of our litigators, and I understood that there is really a common sense aspect to this that even some of our more liberal justices, and again, thank you for their reasonableness here, would understand. And this is an enormously good day for women and girls sports. And like your texter said before, there is a plaintiff at the heart of this case that is not a villain. And so it is now going to be policymakers and adults' job to make sure that every single child, regardless of how they identify, has an opportunity to play competitive sports, and that opportunity is in a fair and safe environment where all of the incredible lessons of competitive sports, and that word is important, sports where winning and losing matters, are able to be learned, because we know from a history of Title IX that it is one of the single most important things we've done to advance women's equality in this country over the last 50, 60 years.
State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey joining us. So, J.B., if you can break it down for us non-legal scholars here, what was the question regarding Title IX? What did the U.S. Supreme Court say?
Yeah, so the question under Title IX was what their definition of sex was. So obviously when Title IX was written, nobody was really thinking about transgendered athletes playing sports. And so they used the word sex in the language within Title IX. And so what the plaintiffs were saying is that the people who drafted Title IX, the people that passed Title IX, they believed that they meant sex to be your chosen sex if you're a transgendered person, meaning the sex that you are identifying as. And our argument was they meant sex to be biological sex, meaning the immutable physical characteristics that a person attains when they are born. And we know that men have different immutable physical characteristics than women. And the Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, determined that we are correct. Title IX was designed for women and biological women more specifically. And so that is a huge victory for Title IX, and it is a huge victory for laws like West Virginia's law that say that it is okay and it is constitutional to say that we need separate spaces for women to compete in athletics and in other spaces as well.
State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey joining us. So what was the question regarding the Equal Protection Clause?
Yes, so essentially what this comes down to is whether or not the Equal Protection Clause of the United States Constitution includes transgender status as something that requires heightened scrutiny, meaning that there has to be that a law is determined to be unconstitutional if it at all basically disadvantages a group. Transgender status is not one of those statuses that requires that level of scrutiny under the court, and what the 6 justices who concurred in this opinion said essentially no, transgender status is not one of these statuses like race or gender or religion, where laws have to be hyper careful to not offend another group. And so in this instance, transgender status was treated with a lower level of scrutiny by the 6 justices, and even the 3 more liberal justices, they didn't foreclose the idea that this didn't violate equal protection. What they said was we don't know yet based on the factual scenario as it was presented in front of the district court. And that was something we relatively anticipated. There was a lot of argument at the court about whether or not the record had been developed sufficiently to make that determination. I do think that if we were to go back to the district court and show that the plaintiff in this case was the state champion at the shot put, our position would be bolstered, and we would likely win if it were to go back up, which it's not going to. But the factual record in this case was really bolstered by the performance of the plaintiff in this case.
State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey joining us. The U.S. Supreme Court upholding West Virginia's ban on boys playing in girls' sports. So what happens next, J.B.? Does West Virginia's law go into effect? What are the next steps here in West Virginia?
Yeah, so what happens right now is that the Save Women's Sports Act in West Virginia is good law. And so the SSAC and all of the governing bodies can move forward confidently under the language of our Save Women's Sports Act to make sure that women and girls are playing on playing fields that are safe, that are designed for them, and give them all of the opportunities that we know that they need in order to play competitive sports and feel confident that their efforts are going to be rewarded because they're playing against people that don't have an advantage physically over them.
Does this put an end to this chapter? Can we now move on and say West Virginia has weighed in, this is where we stand, and now it's time to move past this?
In the world of constitutional litigation, Dave, there's never an end to any chapter. But I would say that for the foreseeable future, we have a very certain future for women's sports. And here in West Virginia, we know what the rules are, we know what the law is, we know that it's constitutional, and now we get to enforce what are the laws that are on the books and really get back to a more common sense understanding of what youth sports is supposed to be.
JB, we're talking to State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey. Let me ask you this question, JB. With having just one transgender athlete that we know of, this has not been a big problem in West Virginia. Why was the fight worth it? All the time, all the energy that went into this, why was the fight, why was this court issue worth it?
Yeah, we got sued, Dave. So it's important to remember that this case came about because the athlete involved sued the state. We didn't sue an athlete. And so the fight in this case really came to us. This was about us defending what the legislature did. And so everything that happened after that lawsuit was filed, and I actually disagree with that premise in its totality. I think this fight was worth it no matter what. I mean, and I think if you ask the hundreds, if not thousands, of female athletes in West Virginia who disagree with the idea that biological men should be playing sports against them, I think you would know that the fight is really for them, right? And so was it worth it? 100%. But it is also important to remember that this case came about because the athlete involved, BPJ, sued the state, not the other way around. And so what we were doing was defending what was a noticeably, and as it turns out, a unanimous decision by the 9 Supreme Court justices. All of this effort came about because of a lawsuit that was driven by incredibly ideological giant national law firms that simply disagreed with our state law. And so, if somebody wants to say that this, was all this worth it, we wouldn't be sitting here if the ACLU hadn't taken what was eventually a unanimous decision by the United States Supreme Court all the way to the mats.
State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey. J.B., congratulations to you and your team on successfully arguing the case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. Congratulations, and appreciate you making some time this morning.
Hey, thanks so much. And it really was better without TJ. I think maybe this should just be a one-man show.
Hey, by the way, you look good on CNN there a few minutes ago. I saw you up on the screen.
It's hard for a Republican to look good on CNN. That's just the cross I have to bear.
JB, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Have a great day.
You as well. Take a break. Back in a moment. This is Talkline from the Cove Insurance Studios. We'll get your reactions on the text line.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan, we are here for you.
The Monarch Compute campus in Mason County is starting construction, and they're ready to hire. InScale, the company building the Monarch campus, is hosting a free job fair Tuesday, June 30th from noon to 7. It's at the former Mason County Armory on Ohio River Road. Employers, including Kiewit, Ames Construction, and Boyd Cat, will be on site recruiting for roles in construction and operations. Marshall, WVU, and Mount West will also be sharing information on training and degree programs. To pre-register, go to inscale.com. That's NSCALE.com. Walk-ins are welcome.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
Download Metro News Television on your iPhone or Android. Search Metro News Television in your app store. Create an account today to get alerts and watch all live and archived content. Download now.
At Daniel's Men's Store, exceptional style begins with a curated selection and finishes with a flawless fit. When it's time to buy a suit, Daniel's is here to make sure yours is one of a kind. Discover tailored suits you'll only find in-store at Daniel's.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Friend of the show, Fairmont State University professor Robert Bolton, going to join me coming up second hour. We'll get to the nuts and bolts of the Supreme Court decision regarding transgender athletes being barred from playing in girls' sports here in West Virginia and other states. The U.S. Supreme Court upholding that ban in an opinion this morning. We'll get into the nuts and bolts with Robert Bolton. Also, breaking while we were talking to State Attorney General J.B. McCuskey, the U.S. Supreme Court upholding birthright citizenship, reaffirming birthright citizenship. That would be considered a loss for the Trump administration. We'll get into that. Robert Bolton will break that all down for us coming up in the second hour. We'll also be joined by former Division I college athlete Lene Saltz is going to join us. We'll get her take as she has been an advocate for women's sports and had to compete against a male in women's sports during her college career. She'll join us at 11:33. Give us her take. Also, might hear from Governor Morrisey sometime in the second hour with his reaction to the U.S. Supreme Court's decision today. Remember, he was the Attorney General when all of this got started, all the court challenges got started after that law was passed in 2021. We could hear from Governor Morrisey before the end of the program today as well. Your thoughts are welcome at 304-TALK, 304-800-765-8255. That's the phone number. We're getting your reactions to the breaking news this morning that the U.S. Supreme Court upholds West Virginia's ban on boys and girls sports. 304-TALK, 304. So can you help me answer these questions regarding the BPJ ruling? So BPJ will not compete in girls track and cross country this upcoming school year. Will he, she, they, sorry, I'm just trying to be respectful, be stripped of their title this past track season? Number one, you heard it from J.B. McCuskey there just a moment ago. The law is in effect, and from there, the Secondary Schools Activities Commission can now implement a rule so it adheres to the state law. And I would have to check in with Executive Director Wayne Ryan, somebody at the SSAC, to see exactly what the procedure for that is. There was a rule in place after the 2021 law was passed. Obviously, all of that was on hold because of the court challenge and the Fourth Circuit enjoining all of that. So the answer to the first question, the short answer is correct. BPJ will not be able to compete on the girls' team. Still able to compete on the boys' team. There is nothing stopping BPJ from competing on the boys' team, but would not be allowed to compete on the girls' team. Now, as far as the title being stripped, I don't see that happening because that's what the rule was. That's what the law was at that time. So I don't think you can go back retroactively and say, well, this is illegal now. This is banned by rule now, so we're going to take your championship away from the previous year because rules have changed. That's not going to happen. At least I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. 304-TALK, 304. All the problems we have in this country, and they're concerned about transgenders, says the texter. 304-TALK, 304. 304. Guys, just help me out here. That's all I'm going to ask. Now that the courts ruled in West Virginia's favor, here's the question Metro News should pose to WVSSAC. Will you strip Pepper Jackson of the state title? Insert favor after West Virginia. I got you. No, I already answered that. I don't see that happening. Again, and here's why I don't see that happening, and I haven't asked anybody. I will do so after the show to get you a better educated opinion. But the rules were what the rules were a couple of weeks ago when that happened. And I said at the time there was nothing the SSAC or anybody else could do because this case was enjoined by the Fourth Circuit. J.B. McCuskey confirmed that later that week in a discussion on the show. The rules have now changed. So I don't see them going back retroactively and saying, well, the rules have changed, so now we're going to strip you of that title. Can't do that. I don't see that happening. I will check on that, but I don't see that happening. 304 Talk 304. I remember when Americans discriminated against Irish immigrants. Look forward to the day when West Virginia has a trans attorney general after hours discriminated against an American trans high school athlete, says the texter. Here's the big one, the executive order. Yeah, they ruled against the Trump administration on birthright citizenship. Texter says, Dave, I have to say I was wrong about the trans in sports. I thought there would be so few participants and they would not be very good. Nobody would care. I was half right. Nobody cares about trans boys. I was wrong about the toxicity of testosterone poisoning and that some boys would do anything to win. I really hope this fixes my biggest worry, that some girls will have to prove they are girls just because they are big, strong, and fast, says the texter. More of your reactions, 304 Talk 304. That is the text line, 800-765-8255, 800-765 Talk, the phone number. Back to wrap up hour number 1 right after this.
Picture a community where every space tells a story. Those are the communities we're designing at ZMM Architects and Engineers. With a blend of creativity and technical expertise, we design spaces that inspire, innovate, and ignite change. From cutting-edge educational facilities to community-centric gathering spaces, we're committed to improving lives through design. Let us help you shape a brighter future for generations to come. Because at ZMM, it's more than architecture. It's about building your legacy.
Hey, this is Brad Howe for your local internet provider, CityNet. High-speed fiber internet is probably at your front door, and now's the time to connect. Your tax dollars helped expand broadband access across West Virginia, and CityNet makes it real. More rural communities in West Virginia can finally get the high-speed internet they deserve. With free equipment, free installation, no contract, and local support you can trust. So whether you're streaming, working, gaming, or running your business, CityNet delivers the speed and reliability you need. When it's high-speed internet you need, CityNet.net connects, protects, and perfects.
They say you can't take the lottery with you. But now, you can play anywhere, anytime with iPlay, the West Virginia Lottery's official app. From Cooper's Rock to the Greenbrier River, from the bleachers to your living room, iPlay goes where you do. Safe, simple, and always West Virginia proud. Play anywhere, anytime. Download iPlay today. iPlay, the fun, secure way to play, wherever life takes you. 18 plus to play. Play responsibly.
The Monarch Compute campus in Mason County is starting construction, and they're ready to hire. InScale, the company building the Monarch campus, is hosting a free job fair Tuesday, June 30th from noon to 7. It's at the former Mason County Armory on Ohio River Road. Employers, including Kiewit, Ames Construction, and Boyd Cat, will be on site recruiting for roles in construction and operations. Marshall, WVU, and Mount West will also be sharing information on training and degree programs. To pre-register, go to inscale.com. That's NSCALE.com. Walk-ins are welcome.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong. And they're all backed by the peace of mind protection of the industry's best limited warranty. Visit your Honda Marine dealer today and find out why it's more than an engine. It's your time on the water.
Busy morning over at WVMetroNews.com. Brad McElhenney has the story. U.S. Supreme Court upholds West Virginia's law banning boys in girls sports. Also from the U.S. Supreme Court, not at the website though, upholding birthright citizenship. The U.S. Supreme Court upholds that the 14th Amendment guarantees birthright citizenship to children born in the U.S., including those whose parents are in the country unlawfully or only temporarily. We'll continue the discussion in 6 minutes. This is Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Salango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Meteorologist Joe Hansel here. Take necessary precautions for a prolonged heat wave that'll affect the state. We have some heat advisories and extreme heat warnings now, filling in for areas of West Virginia as well above average. Heat and humidity will be out there for a long duration. We're up to a major heat risk today, so that goes beyond, folks. If you're sensitive to the heat, that's for generally everyone should start thinking about taking necessary precautions. In terms of temps, a number of us could approach some daily warm record lows multiple days this week, and locally some record highs, but with the extreme heat warning, heat index values, that feel like temp is listed to approach at 108 degrees for that feel like temp. Strong ridge of high pressure above our heads, heat dome. Underneath that, there is a trough, a general slight 20% chance of a pop-up shower and storm for the state today. Most of us dry. Maybe some fog out there again this morning. 89 yesterday in Charleston, a little bit above average there. Mix of sun and clouds. Very hot and humid. Start thinking about taking necessary precautions for an extended stretch of well above average heat and humidity. Fly-saver forecast, it starts at home, and other these cities have heat concerns too this week and continuing into the 4th of July holiday weekend. From Panhandle to Panhandle, upper 80s to mid-90s. Locally to the east, have some low 90s. Up in the high elevations, highs in the ranks of the warm 80s up there too. To the west, spots like Parkersburg already near 94 for your high temp today. And down to the south, up to extreme heat warnings. Include Charleston, high of 95, but with that higher heat index value too. So the extreme heat warning lasts until 10 p.m. Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4th of July, still hot and humid, 95, and I'll watch for some chances of showers and thunderstorms. Friday, the 4th, Sunday, and also Monday into the long term next week, high near 87 there on Monday.
This is Ben Salango with Salango Law. Salango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Salango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Salango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at salangolaw.com.
Circling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit encova.com to learn more.
Second hour of Metro News Talkline. Down a man, TJ taking a week off at an undisclosed golf course near you. Jake Link handles the video stream, and Ethan Collins is handling the audio side of things. Say good morning to our great radio affiliates across the state of West Virginia. Also, if you're watching in on the Metro News TV app, Facebook Live, YouTube, we appreciate it. Don't forget, you can download the app to your smart TV, your mobile device, and you have all of the Metro News television programming at your fingertips, including this show, others, and also, of course, our high school sports events that we carry across the network, all available for you over there, not to mention State of Minds and Three Guys there as well. Breaking news this morning out of the U.S. Supreme Court. You probably know by now the U.S. Supreme Court has upheld West Virginia's ban on boys participating in girls' sports. Brad McElhenney has a story already posted at wvmetronews.com. Also this morning, the U.S. Supreme Court upholding birthright citizenship, ruling against the Trump administration and the president's executive order, upholding that children born in the U.S., whether they are born to people who are in the country unlawfully or temporarily, are granted birthright citizenship. Friend of the program, Robert Bolton from Fairmont State University, has been following all this very closely, and he can help break down some of the legal nuts and bolts this morning. Robert, good morning. Busy morning this morning.
Oh, very much, Dave, and good morning to you.
So let's start actually with birthright citizenship. This came down right in the middle of our discussion with the state attorney general. This was a 5-4 decision with Justices Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett joining with Kagan, Jackson, and Sotomayor. So what was the majority opinion in this case?
Well, in the birthright citizenship case, Trump v. Barbara, they ended up ruling that children who are born to parents who are here illegally or who are otherwise not domiciled are generally going to be considered from birth citizens of the United States. The only significant exceptions would be those who are the children of diplomats and those who are, say, you had an invading force, so the children of soldiers, if there was an insurrection or invasion in the United States.
So, Robert, this executive order now struck down by the Supreme Court. If I may oversimplify this, the Supreme Court kind of said in the majority opinion the 14th Amendment says what the 14th Amendment says. Is that an oversimplification?
Not entirely. I mean, when you and I actually met the day after Trump was sworn in office last year, January 21st, and my prediction at that time was very similar to what ended up happening, that this case was always going to be a long shot. There are some legal scholars who argued that based off of that clause within the 14th Amendment that says subject to the jurisdiction thereof, that people who had removed themselves from the laws of the United States by coming into the country illegally were not entitled to the benefits of citizenship or their children born here. But yeah, this opinion, I think, shocks no one. From the beginning, it was always going to be a long shot. Prior Supreme Court precedent from U.S. v. Won Kim Ark, a case out of the 1890s, up through to today, has pretty much always treated people whose children are either A, domiciled here, or B, who the parents are here illegally. Their children are still issued passports and treated as citizens. This really doesn't shock anyone in particular. I will admit I was a little bit surprised that you ended up having Justice Gorsuch join the dissenters, but I had expected Alito and Thomas would be the only two dissenters in general on this opinion, so I can't say I'm especially surprised. Kavanaugh's also a little bit unusual because he joined in the majority decision, but he ended up dissenting in part. But again, this case really, I don't think, shocked anyone. After oral arguments occurred on April 1st, when President Trump notably appeared during oral argument, you could tell from the line of questioning that the justices generally were pretty skeptical. And even President Trump himself, on his social media comments on Truth Social after the oral arguments, seemed to recognize and read the tea leaves that it was unlikely that his executive order was going to stand.
Fairmont State University professor Robert Bolton joining us this morning. Robert, what was the reasoning behind the dissenting opinions?
Well, the reasoning behind the dissenting opinions was their argument was generally that I should clarify that the majority opinion basically said, look, under the old English common law, British subjects or people who were born within British territory, their children were presumptively treated as subjects of the king. The dissenting opinion, and probably if one of our listeners was going to read only one, it would be Justice Thomas's that you would want to read. They argue that the law was actually a bit more nuanced on that generally people who were not agreeing to be subject to the national authority of the United States should not be considered citizens. Also, generally, Justice Thomas felt that when it came to it, the difference between under the 14th Amendment protecting former slaves, people who were born in this country and who would have no other homeland, is that people who come to this country and have children do in fact already have citizenship with another country. Indeed, the woman who is the main person in this class action, Barbara, that's her pseudonym, is actually already a Honduran citizen. So Justice Thomas was saying, look, if we say Ms. Barbara's children are not U.S. citizens at birth, they are still going to have Honduran citizenship because their mother is a Honduran citizen. this isn't really relevant to this particular case, but there is also a principle under international law that a country is not supposed to leave people within its territory without any type of nationality. So that was one thing where Justice Thomas wanted to make sure that we were not violating international law principles. But those are the big arguments. And then there are other minor details where he argues that the record in the congressional globe when the 14th Amendment was being debated and the details of the English common law were actually a bit more nuanced than the majority opinion depicted. But again, I think, to be blunt, Justice Thomas is probably stretching. The historical evidence pretty heavily weighed in favor of birthright citizenship. Again, I'm not defending or criticizing it as a policy matter, but as a matter of the historical record, the precedent leaned pretty heavily in favor of the majority opinion in this case.
Fairmont State University professor Robert Bolton, friend of the program, joining us. Robert, let me toss this question at you, a little bit of a curveball, but the Supreme Court has taken criticism mainly from the left of rubber stamping being packed with conservatives, rubber stamping Trump administration policies. The Trump administration won some, they lost some in this term. Does that criticism fall by the wayside? If you are looking at this objectively, does that fall by the wayside given the fact that, again, Trump administration won some, they lost some in this term of the Supreme Court?
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely. I think that the court is very mindful of its image of independence and probably is, quite frankly, the one branch of government that still is mostly independent of the president's impact in a way that certainly the U.S. Congress, both houses of it, is not. Yeah, you've seen occasions today. One case we haven't discussed is the voting rights case out of in regard to election spending, but you've seen the justices Amy Coney Barrett, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh in this term in each instance have cases where Trump heavily favored one side, and those justices appointed by him ended up ruling or voting in the opposite direction. Certainly in this birthright citizenship case, for example, Kavanaugh and Barrett both sided with the majority conclusion, which is certainly not what the president was favoring. So, yeah, it's unsurprising. Yeah, most of the time conservative justices are going to vote in a way that a conservative president favors, but they are not doing so because the president is dictating that they do so. They are doing so because that is what their ideology favors.
Crazy morning. Lots going on this morning, Robert. A lot to digest today.
Very much so. I mean, there were other cases. I just called in a moment ago, so I'm not sure if you discussed the transgender athlete case.
Spent about an hour on that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, again, that was a hugely important one. I'm not sure what some of your other speakers discussed about it, but that was one that was very interesting from a federal law perspective. But yeah, this is the last day of the Supreme Court for this term. I think they did save those controversial ones for the very end because with summer vacation, it allows some of that controversy to die down and certainly allows the justices to flee Washington and the people trying to buttonhole them after these decisions come out. But this has certainly been a very consequential term from the perspective of a constitutional law scholar's perspective.
Robert, I thought that the ban on transgender athletes case there was interesting in that it wasn't just a straight down the line on ideological differences. There was actually some crossover there with what you would term, the liberal judges, Sotomayor, certainly not going to be confused as a conservative, joining with the majority, at least partly joining with the majority. And then J.B. McCuskey broke it down as basically a 9-0 decision on the Title IX question in that case. So that was interesting to me that was not a clean break along ideological lines.
Yes, very much so. I mean, Justice Kavanaugh was the one who wrote the majority opinion. But yeah, you had Roberts, Alito, Gorsuch, Thomas, and Barrett all joined him in whole. Thomas and Gorsuch filed their concurring opinions. Sotomayor, like you said, again, an appointee of Barack Obama, concurred in the judgment. Now, she did file a partial dissent that Kagan and Jackson joined, but even Justice Jackson ended up joining in part in the judgment and dissenting in part. And the key thing to look at is they were basically taking a very narrow view of the federal law at play here, and also in regard to whether or not sex is protected under the 14th Amendment's Equal Protection Clause. And they basically said, look, there was a similar case from 2020, Bostock v. Clayton County, that said that in cases where someone is, say, born biologically male but identifies as female, that's a gender expression and you can't discriminate against them in the workplace. But that involves one individual. When, on the other hand, you have a case where you have someone who's biologically male, as in the case with Becky Pepper Jackson, but identifies as female, they are competing against girls in women's athletics. So the question isn't just how are you treating that individual, but how does this impact other female athletes within the athletic arena? And some people at the lower levels and in some opinion pieces have said, well, maybe we look at, does this transgender individual, when have they been on hormone replacements or gender or hormone blockers? And basically what the Supreme Court said is if you try to do that, it's going to be impossible on a case-by-case basis to make a medical evaluation of whether or not this person's biological sex gives them an unfair competitive advantage. And so states that have passed legislation saying, no, you have to compete within the gender that you are biologically born as, rather than what you identify as, is constitutionally permissible. But it is important to remember, though, this did not say categorically you had to ban students. This is left up as a matter of federalism to individual state discretion. 27 states have taken the opinion, or I believe it was 27 states have taken the opinion of banning biological males from female sports, but there are 23 states, including California, that have passed laws explicitly either allowing it or guaranteeing transgender individuals are allowed into those sports.
Leaving it up to the states.
What an unusual case.
Yeah, leaving it up to the states. What a novel concept here in this country.
Yeah,
imagine
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, well, and hey, that's what our Constitution is intended for. Justice Louis Brandeis once said, let states be laboratories of democracy. Let them come up with innovative solutions, see what works best, what's a fair result, and hopefully in the long term, democracy can be an ugly, messy process, but hopefully it'll come up with an equitable, just solution for everybody in the long term.
Friend of the show, Fairmont State University professor Robert Bolton. Robert, always appreciate the context. Thank you so much.
No problem, David. Thank you for having me on. Very much enjoyed this discussion.
Absolutely. Me as well. We'll get some of your comments at 304-TALK, 304-800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255. That is the phone number. Jackpots are growing in West Virginia. Who does not want to be a millionaire? Powerball hits Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mega Millions lights up Tuesdays and Fridays. That's 5 chances a week to get in on life-changing jackpots. Play in store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. Powerball jackpot is $375 million. Mega Millions jackpot's $511 million, so go ahead, play today.
Approach your retirement with confidence. With over 150 years of combined experience, the advisors of the Stike team at Wealth Enhancement Group provide advice and wealth management strategies to individuals, families, small businesses, professional offices, and institutions. With the Stike team, you'll have access to an advising team with extensive resources, a client-first mindset, and a passion for helping transform the lives of those we serve. Visit wealthenhancement.com/Stike today and join the team that's dedicated to your success.
They say you can't take the lottery with you. But now, you can play anywhere, anytime with iPlay, the West Virginia Lottery's official app. From Cooper's Rock to the Greenbrier River, from the bleachers to your living room, iPlay goes where you do. Safe, simple, and always West Virginia proud. Play anywhere, anytime. Download iPlay today. iPlay, the fun secure way to play, wherever life takes you. 18 plus to play responsibly.
In West Virginia, community is everything. It's about showing up for each other. Ben Salango and the team at Salango Law don't just work here, they live here, proudly sponsoring local events and giving back to the neighborhoods they love. So when you're facing a serious injury, trust the local team that's always in your corner. They spent over 25 years fighting for West Virginia families. Salango Law. Get results, not excuses. Visit us at salangolaw.com.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at wvhtf.org.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you. We've got it down to a science, an absolute state of art. We do it all, restoration, cleaning, and reconstruction. When disaster strikes, just pick up the phone. We're Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration, and we're gonna save you.
For over 20 years, Dan Cava Toyota World has been more than a dealership. We're family-owned, community-focused, and committed to taking care of our customers long after the sale. Our commitment doesn't stop when you drive off the lot. With factory-trained technicians and a service team you can trust, we're here to keep your vehicle running at its best for years to come. So when it's time to get your next vehicle, choose the dealership that's been serving the community for generations. Visit Dan Cava Toyota World in Fairmont. Shop the world.
CityNet is West Virginia's local internet provider. High-speed, reliable fiber internet is probably right at your front door. Now is the perfect time to connect. Local customer support you can trust, perfect for working from home, streaming, gaming, or running your business. Fast, reliable fiber internet built for everyday life. When it's high-speed internet you need, citynet.net connects, protects, and perfects. Let's get some text in. I'm told Governor Morrisey is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Governor Morrisey going to join us about 7 minutes from now. 304-TALK, 304. Texter says, may have been one case, but over years, many young girls were negatively impacted. This was always a question I had for the critics who said, look, it's not very prevalent. It's only one case. It's only one student athlete. Well, what is the number when it does become an issue that warrants being addressed at the legislature or by a governing body of any sort? What's the number? 2, 3, 24? That was, I get it, it's a rhetorical question, obviously, but that was my response to that. Well, it's only one. Well, what is your number? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 27? 230? What's the number where you go, this is something we need to address moving forward? And West Virginia's addressed it now. Thank you to those serving during the 2021 legislative session that passed the Save Women's Sports Law. With this Supreme Court ruling, the NCAA may actually win a court case now. Their record so far has been abysmal, and you are correct, Dave. It's common sense. Again, the highly unqualified, not attorney sitting here with you, just a casual observer's opinion. It seemed to me, when I look at what the Supreme Court ruled and how it ruled in this term, it was applying common sense and a little bit of logic, if you will. Such as when explaining that arriving in the United States means actually arriving in the United States. Boys are boys, girls are girls, and boys should not be playing in girls' sports. The 14th Amendment means what the 14th Amendment says. That's a lot of common sense and logic being applied here, I think. And I do believe, after talking, that's why I brought it up with Robert Bolton, the criticism that this court is somehow broken or corrupt or whatever the case may be just because you don't like how it rules, I think that goes out the window, or it should go out the window. The Trump administration won some, it lost some. There were concurring opinions. There were dissenting opinions. There were liberal justices siding with conservative justices, at least in some aspects, and vice versa. So this idea that somehow the system is broke because you don't like the ruling, I think flies right out the window. 304 Talk 304. Texter says, rule hasn't changed. Rule was upheld. Some questioning whether or not BPJ should be stripped of the championship won back in June. I don't think that's going to happen. I will reach out and ask. But the rule may have been in place and on hold because of the law, but that was the situation at the time. So to go back retroactively because the ruling comes down weeks after the fact, I don't think that's going to happen, but I will reach out and ask. Governor Morrisey scheduled to join us on the other side of the news break. Your thoughts still welcome. 304 Talk 304 800-765 Talk, the phone number. This is Talkline on Metro News for 40 years, the voice of West Virginia. It is 11:30. Time to get a news update. Let's check in with the Metro News Radio Network. Find out what's happening across the great state of West Virginia.
Today's Metro News television forecast is brought to you by Solango Law. Get results, not excuses.
Meteorologist Joe Hansel here. Take necessary precautions for a prolonged heat wave that'll affect the state. We have some heat advisories and extreme heat warnings now filling in for areas of West Virginia as well above average. Heat and humidity will be out there for a long duration. We're up to a major heat risk today, so that goes beyond, folks. If you're sensitive to the heat, that's for generally everyone should start thinking about taking necessary precautions. In terms of temps, a number of us could approach some daily warm record lows multiple days this week, and locally some record highs, but with the extreme heat warning, heat index values, that feel like temp is listed to approach at 108 degrees for that feel like temp. Strong ridge of high pressure above our heads, heat dome. Underneath that, there is a trough, a general slight 20% chance of a pop-up shower and storm for the state today. Most of us dry. Maybe some fog out there again this morning. 89 yesterday in Charleston, a little bit above average there. Mix of sun and clouds. Very hot and humid. Start thinking about taking necessary precautions for an extended stretch of well above average heat and humidity. Fly-saver forecast, it starts at home, and other these cities have heat concerns too this week and continuing into the 4th of July holiday weekend. From Panhandle to Panhandle, upper 80s to mid-90s. Locally to the east, have some low 90s. Up in the high elevations, highs in the ranks of the warm 80s up there too. To the west, spots like Parkersburg already near 94 for your high temp today. And down to the south, up to extreme heat warnings. Include Charleston, high of 95, but with that higher heat index value too. So the extreme heat warning lasts until 10 p.m. Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4th of July, still hot and humid, 95, and I'll watch for some chances of showers and thunderstorms. Friday, the 4th, Sunday, and also Monday into the long term next week, high near 87 there on Monday.
This is Ben Solango with Solango Law. Solango Law has earned a reputation for getting excellent results for our clients. With decades of experience handling thousands of cases, we know what it takes to deliver. Proudly voted Best in the Valley for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Charleston Gazette-Mail, Solango Law is deeply committed to giving back by investing in our community. From supporting local programs to making our region a better place to live, Solango Law is proud to be your trusted legal and community partner. Check us out at solangolaw.com.
On the next State of Minds.
We cook West Virginian food is how we like to phrase it.
I knew that every time I would hear a story, and I would hear the same story, but it never got old, about what this meant to the family and how it was served and how special it was to be put on the table.
More of your text at 304-TALK, 304-800-765-TALK is the phone number. You know what? Since everybody else is issuing half days, tell you what. See if this works. Let me know next Monday. Tell your boss. Dave over on Talkline said I can have a half day on Thursday and see how that works out. Let me know. Why not? It's a holiday weekend. Let's be honest. You're probably taking an unofficial half day anyway. Be honest. Be honest. 304-TALK, 304 is the text line, 800-765-8255. The phone number, the big news this morning coming from the United States Supreme Court upholding West Virginia's ban on males in female sports, boys and girls sports this morning. That decision came down right as we went on the show with went on the air with MetroNews Talkline this morning. Joining us now on MetroNews Talkline is the governor of the great state of West Virginia, Governor Patrick Morrisey. Governor, good morning, and thanks for coming on.
Good morning, Dave. This is a terrific development, one that's taken a very long time, but finally common sense and fairness has been restored after years and years of work. So I applaud the legislature for all the work that they did. Obviously, my old office, when I was Attorney General, I was the one who filed this appeal up at the U.S. Supreme Court, worked on it tirelessly for years, and to J.B. McCuskey and his team for all the work that they did. This is long overdue, and now in West Virginia and across the country, we can stand for these common sense provisions that are going to allow women to safely participate in sports without worrying about biological males coming in and creating a ruckus.
Governor, this has been a priority back, like you said, when you were Attorney General. Now as governor, why is this such a priority for you personally, number one, and for your administration?
A couple things. First, I know that when I first started working on this in 2021, there was actually a lot of division on the topic. In fact, Dave, you may remember that there was a huge split in the legislature as to whether the NCAA college athletes were going to be contained within the law. And after a lot of back and forth on that, and I had urged that the NCAA level should be treated the same as the K through 12, I think that most West Virginians wanted a system that rewarded women who wanted to go into sports to develop leadership skills, women who wanted to compete on a level playing field with other women. If you go back to the early 1970s, there was a significant amount of effort put into ensuring that women had the opportunities that they never had before. And you saw how Title IX worked and drove the numbers of women in sports up from 300-some-odd thousand to over 3.5 million. The West Virginia law was designed really to maintain those protections for women and have common sense. And so that's why I was so supportive of it. This was always surprising to me that we had to spend as much time as we did fighting in court because it was so basic a principle. But we're not going to let that want to kind of convert these laws into their own agenda prevail. We're going to make sure the law is always upheld. That was my position as Attorney General. That's why I filed the appeal before SCOTUS, and that's what we're going to keep doing as governor.
Talking to Governor Patrick Morrisey, were you surprised at all that even some of the liberal justices, when it came to some of the questions regarding Title IX, there was actually agreement on the question of Title IX, and there was some concurrence as well with even some of the liberal justices in this case?
You know, I saw that, and I was pleased to see that because we always thought that this was very straightforward. And I think it reflects the fact that, at least on a large part of this case, there's almost unanimity in terms of how the justices are viewing this. So I do think it's helpful. But keep in mind that when this case first was moving through, we had a Democrat district court judge who agreed with us after we submitted over 3,000 pages of evidence and many submissions. The judge recognized the differences between men and women, the biological differences, the focus on strength, on bone density, on endurance. And I think these justices agreed with that. So I'm not surprised. I think most people believe this is a pretty straightforward matter.
Talking to Governor Patrick Morrisey, U.S. Supreme Court upholding West Virginia's law banning boys from competing in girls' sports across the state. Now that this has been determined by the U.S. Supreme Court, and I don't mean we should move on and forget, Governor, but can West Virginia now, this is the law of the land, this is the way it is going to be done in West Virginia, can we now move on from this issue now that it has been decided?
Well, most assuredly, we're really happy that this case has been resolved. We know that there was just a state track championship where BPJ won the shot put, and that's part of the reason why this issue has drawn so much angst in West Virginia. So I think that we're not going to be seeing those type of fact patterns into the future, and I think it's critical that we make sure that this principle is now locked in West Virginia. And look, this shouldn't have taken so much time and effort in the courts. I always was shocked. The fact that we had to spend so much time in court when, to me, this was just such a matter of common sense. Look, you shouldn't have to spend years and years fighting. You know, I spend 95% of my time focusing on trying to improve the standard of living and driving economic development up. We chase economic activity for our state. This shouldn't have taken any time, but there were people that sued to stop the law, and we're not going to let those people prevail when it flies in the face of common sense.
Hey, Governor, before I let you go quickly, I know you got a lot going on today. Excited about the 250 celebration this week and everything ready to go?
You know, Dave, we are, and for anyone listening across the state, I can tell you that we have a heck of a show. Not only do we have the world's largest mobile Ferris wheel, but we have a digital light show that I think people are going to be thrilled about. We have a lot of activities that are wonderful for the family, and we have incredible concerts between Marshall Tucker, Alabama, the West Virginia Symphony Orchestra. What I would say to people is this will be an opportunity, a memory for your family for many years, and it's a chance to remind people about the importance of why our country was founded, to talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and why it's so important to have limited self-government in place. So this is terrific. It's also going to be a way for West Virginia to shine on the national stage. We're an incredibly beautiful state, but when you can also pull all these different things together, it lets people know that West Virginia is also one of the hot tourism capitals of the country.
Governor Patrick Morrisey. Governor, congratulations on your former office, arguing that case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. Happy Independence Day, a couple days early, and enjoy the weekend.
Hey, thanks so much, and we're looking forward to seeing people all across the state and also coming to Charleston, and I appreciate the time, Dave.
Absolutely. Governor Patrick Morrisey on short notice today as well. Thank you very much. 800-765-TALK, the phone number. 304-TALK, 304 is the text line. The rest of the show belongs to you. More of your reactions coming up in just a moment. By the way, Lene Saltz, the former college track and cross-country runner at Southern Utah University, going to join us tomorrow. She was scheduled to join us, but got a lot of balls in the air today. We're juggling a little bit, and we want to thank her for her flexibility today. We'll have her on the show coming up tomorrow. 800-765-TALK, 800-765-8255, 304-TALK, 304. Your reactions next.
Building a stronger West Virginia isn't just a dream, it's a mission. The High Technology Foundation knows economic diversity is the key. For over 30 years, they've been dedicated to transforming the state's economic landscape. Conveniently located in the heart of West Virginia, innovation, growth, opportunity, all under one roof. There's no need to look far for change. It's happening right here at the High Technology Foundation in North Central West Virginia. Visit WVHTF.org to learn more.
We are there for you, to care for you at the health plan. We are here for you.
For over 4 decades, we've been rooted deep inside West Virginia. Through thick and thin, supporting local families and businesses. Proudly serving your neighborhood since 1979. Your trusted partner in the community.
The health plan. We here for you.
The Monarch Compute campus in Mason County is starting construction, and they're ready to hire. InScale, the company building the Monarch campus, is hosting a free job fair Tuesday, June 30th from noon to 7. It's at the former Mason County Armory on Ohio River Road. Employers, including Kiewit, Ames Construction, and Boyd Cat, will be on site recruiting for roles in construction and operations. Marshall, WVU, and Mount West will also be sharing information on training and degree programs. To pre-register, go to inscale.com. That's NSCALE.com. Walk-ins are welcome.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
In 1914, the same year the first commercial flight soared and the Panama Canal opened, Greer Industries was born. Herbert and Agnes Greer began in Morgantown, West Virginia, striking the first pick into the limestone formation that would become the backbone of one of the state's great industrial legacies. From the roads we drive on, the buildings we build, and the communities we serve, Greer Industries has been delivering quality for decades. At Greer Industries, we've been improving lives for more than a century.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
5, 3. For your daily fix of sports in West Virginia, there's only one stop.
I would imagine a group of you got together and watched the Mountaineers last night. What were your thoughts on that performance?
It was funny, we were sitting with a guy last night, and he said, all right, I'm going to go put $1,000 on it. Well, down the stretch of that ball game, he's looking at us like, are you kidding me? And sure enough, the Mountaineers came back. I saw him today. He said, yep, I'm putting another $1,000 on them tomorrow.
Sportsline on Metro News Television.
The best selection of WVU apparel is at Daniel's Men's Store. Exclusive designs you won't find anywhere else. Stylish, sophisticated, and unmistakably Mountaineer. Shop in store or online at danielsofmorgantown.com.
You own a boat because you love spending time on the water. Choose the outboard that allows you to make the most of it. Honda Marine's legendary reliability, ease of maintenance, and powerful performance keep you going strong.
MetroNews Talkline is presented by Encova Insurance, encircling you with coverage to protect what you care about most. Visit Encova.com to learn more.
Rest of the show belongs to you at 800-765-TALK and the text line 304-TALK-304. Hey, Dave, did you hear about the Supreme Court's decision? Come on, man, give it a break. West Virginia has other news. Move on. Well, listen, this was an historic decision today that did not just impact West Virginia's law. It impacted the 26 other states that have similar laws and sets precedent for the rest of the country. And it's not often that a case that originates in West Virginia sets the precedent for the rest of the country and has the historic impact that this case will have moving forward. So, yeah, we're going to devote a few minutes to it. 304-TALK, 304. I see the victim in this case as the girl that finished second in the competition. I understand not stripping that person of the title. They won under the rules that were in effect, but it still wrongfully withholds the title from the girl who finished second, says the texter. The law has been in effect since passed. It was just challenged and failed. Title should be removed because that was the law when the titles were granted. Look, I hear what you're saying. I really do. But the rules were what the rules were, whether they were held up in court or not. So, this question of whether or not Jackson should be stripped of that title, I really don't see that happening. But, again, I will pose the question. I'll see if I can get an answer. Again, all of this has just happened. The decision's not even 2 hours old yet. So I'm sure there are people who are reading through this, attorneys reading through this, legal teams reading through it to see what options are and what course of action should or should not be pursued. I don't foresee that happening. 304 Talk 304. Usually the ones crying discrimination are the ones that are out promoting it. Dave, it's not necessary for the WVSSAC to now implement a rule. The law supersedes any rule or policy anyway. I'll actually, so let me give you an example of why there needs to be a rule. And again, I got to check on all of this. They're reading through this. When West Virginia passed the law, the one-time transfer law, the transfer portal law, a couple of years ago, the SSAC then had to change its rules to come in line with the law, okay? When that law was repealed, the SSAC was then able to change its rules again to come in line with what state law says. So to your point, Texter, yes, there is state law, but then if your rules say something other than state law, then legal term here, you're out of whack. So yes, the SSAC will, I got to check. I haven't checked the rule book lately. I know there was a rule on the books after the 2021 law, and I'm not sure if it was on the back burner because of the legal fight, if it's still on the books. Got to check on all that. This is all happening very quickly this morning. Dave, Supreme Court used common sense on this ruling on transgenders. President Trump and West Virginia legislature signed laws banning biological men playing women's sports. So Pepper Jackson's state record in shot put should be canceled and removed from the records. It wasn't a state record, by the way. Was not a state record. Dave, Supreme Court, you said it twice. Yes, the Supreme Court, I think used a lot of common sense during this term, not just on the transgender athletes ban, but when it comes to the 14th Amendment, when it came to the immigration ruling the other day. Common sense. Common sense, like arriving in means you actually have to arrive in the United States. The 14th Amendment means what the 14th Amendment says. Boys are boys, and girls are girls. Common sense kind of things. And I also think, again, very rudimentary view here, but I also think if you are an observer, an objective, and you take a step back and look at the courts, I don't think the criticism holds that this is a broken system or a broken court that needs fixed or repaired or expanded in any way. Trump won some, he lost some, as far as the administration goes. There were conservative justices concurring with liberal justices. There were liberal justices dissenting. I mean, you had some crossover there. It wasn't straight down, clean cut along ideological lines in several of these cases. 304 Talk 304. It's about the thousands of girls who participate in their respective sports, says the texter. It would be interesting to hear what the winning distance of the boys' shot put championship was. You can look that up, I'm sure. I don't know it off the top of my head. Does this ruling of trans out of girls' sports also apply to the locker rooms and bathroom rules? We have a law that was the... Was that the Riley Gaines Act? Is that what we called that one, Jake? I believe that was passed last year that dealt with bathrooms and locker rooms. Dave, you said Morrisey gave an extra half-day holiday for Saturday, July 4th. How much time did he give state employees off for Juneteenth on a Friday? 304 Talk 304. I can't read it. I can't. But good luck with that on Thursday. So what happens to the records that were set? Look, this is... You want to put an asterisk by it, I guess? It happened. Was it right? Was it wrong? We could have that debate, but it happened. Was it fair? No. But it happened. Has a biological male ever won a female sports event in West Virginia? If so, what event? Shot put. About 4 weeks ago. I'm glad the Supreme Court upheld the decision. My daughter competed against BPJ for the last 2 years. There were many girls that would scratch because BPJ was there, says the texter. All right, more of your texts coming up, and we'll wrap up a busy Tuesday. 304 Talk 304 is the text line. 800-765-8255, the phone number. Back in a moment.
Right now, America is hungry for energy, more power, more reliability, and more security. So here's a question worth asking. Why not coal? And why not now? West Virginia sits on one of the most abundant energy resources in the world. Generations of miners, proven infrastructure, and coal-fired power plants already delivering dependable, around-the-clock electricity. At a time when demand is surging and reliability matters more than ever, coal isn't a question mark, it's a solution. Today, there's robust support in West Virginia and Washington to strengthen American energy independence using the resources we already have. So again, we ask, why not coal? And why not now? Because when it comes to powering our homes, our hospitals, our economy, and new opportunities, West Virginia Coal is ready. A message from the Friends of Coal, powering America today and tomorrow.
Summer in West Virginia means open roads, blue skies, and endless possibilities. But if you don't have reliable wheels, getting to work or making it to a doctor's appointment can feel like an uphill climb. That's where Good News Mountaineer Garage comes in. We take donated vehicles, fix them up, and get them to fellow mountaineers who need them the most. This summer, let's keep our community moving. Donate a vehicle today by calling 866-GIVE-CAR or visit goodnewsmountaineergarage.org. Donate a car, change a life.
The Monarch Compute campus in Mason County is starting construction, and they're ready to hire. InScale, the company building the Monarch campus, is hosting a free job fair Tuesday, June 30th from noon to 7. It's at the former Mason County Armory on Ohio River Road. Employers, including Kiewit, Ames Construction, and Boyd Cat, will be on site recruiting for roles in construction and operations. Marshall, WVU, and Mount West will also be sharing information on training and degree programs. To pre-register, go to inscale.com. That's NSCALE.com. Walk-ins are welcome.
You're listening to Talkline on Metro News, the voice of West Virginia.
I'm Sean Kovich, Mountaineer Golf Coach. When disaster strikes your home, business, or golf game, call the restoration company the Mountaineers call. Panhandle Cleaning and Restoration.
For couples that are experiencing infertility, about half will have the male factor in the diagnosis. At the WVU Medicine Center for Reproductive Medicine, we offer a wide array of treatment options for male factor infertility. There's really no reason you would need to go anywhere else. If we can identify and treat male factor infertility, we can prevent couples from even having to go down the road of IVF, saving you potentially money and time. We're here to help build a family. We have the capabilities and we care.
Leading the efforts to build a stronger West Virginia, the High Technology Foundation has a proven plan to strengthen and diversify our state's economy. The I-79 Technology Park's high-capacity infrastructure continues to attract advanced federal operations that are driving economic growth. This keeps our young, educated residents in the state and brings West Virginians home. The High Technology Foundation, building a stronger West Virginia. Learn more today at WVHTF.org.
Longer days, warmer drives, and better deals at Dan Cava GMC. Hit the road in one of our new luxury GMC Acadias. Take your pick from our massive selection. Now up to $5,500 off select new Acadias and 3.9% for 60 months. The great deals continue with our large selection of quality pre-owned vehicles. All this and more at Dan Cava GMC in Bridgeport. Shop the world.
Jackpots are growing. In West Virginia, jackpots are on the rise every week. Powerball hits Mondays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Mega Millions lights up Tuesdays and Fridays. That's 5 chances a week to get in on life-changing jackpots. Play in store and online. 18 plus to play. Please play responsibly. The Powerball jackpot is $375 million. Mega Millions jackpot's $511 million. So go ahead, play today. More text. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is retiring. Oh, in all the confusion, I missed that. Did that get reported this morning? I knew that was floating out there. But again, there's a lot happening today. Discrimination is discrimination. Common sense, says the texter. The 14th Amendment means what the 14th Amendment says. Cool. I'll do the Second Amendment. Smiley face emoji with the sunglasses. I guess that's cool emoji with the sunglasses. 304 Talk 304. The most shocking part of the Birthright citizenship case is that the decision was 5-4. Most court watchers I saw were predicting 9-0 or at worst 7-2, upholding Birthright citizenship. Hard to believe 4 justices argued the 14th Amendment said anything other than what it seems to plainly say, which is that those born here are granted citizenship. State employees had the whole day off for Juneteenth. Wake up. I was off that day, too. I mean, I took a day off. We were vacationing. We did a little staycation. Glad they kept birthright citizenship more important than transgender. Name tags for everyone. Long live Mayor Jenkins and Lloyd Braun, says the texter. This texter says Alito is not retiring. Forbes and NPR are retracting stories. All right. That's what I get for reading the text line. Follow the news of the day over at the website, WVMetroNews.com. We're back tomorrow morning at 10:06. This is Talkline on Metro News. For 40 years, the voice of West Virginia.